Hey, English 3, we're going to talk some about linking verbs. This is going to help us with what we're talking about first here with what we call complements. And but this kind of thing, knowing this kind of thing will make things a lot easier no matter what we're doing the rest of the year with grammar stuff. There are very few things that I want you to memorize. I almost never want you to memorize things. Yeah, just as an example, I'll once in a while have a student who transferred in from a different district who will say, "Yeah, my middle school English or high school English teacher made us memorize all of the prepositions. There are 80 some prepositions. I don't even remember the exact number, 84 maybe. But I'll tell these students like that. It seems like a waste of time to memorize 80 things when you could just understand how they work, and then you could spot prepositions all the time. All that is to say, I don't want you to memorize much, but I do want you to memorize very little. This right here is a list of the most important linking verbs. There are other linking verbs too. More about that in a minute. But these 8 words are the linking verbs that are worth memorizing. There are other ones that you can test for them if one of these things works in place of another word, then it's acting like a linking verb. So these are the only ones you need. Actually, if you read through them, say them out loud 2 or 3 times, I'll bet you have them memorized already. It's in this order. It's easy to memorize because of the alliteration. The similar sounds at the beginning of the first three, um, and technically that's not alliteration because it's not a consonant sound. But it sounds like you're saying Amazon, and then the alliteration with the was, were, and the be being been. So if these are your main verbs, or your only verb. I mean, been being can't be the only one. Um, it might be the main verb in a verb phrase. But if these are your only verbs, am, are, was, for example, then they have to be linking verbs. Now, I say that because once in a while, and quite often actually, these pair up with action verbs, and together they become a verb phrase that's an action phrase. Like is stealing right here, is stealing. You might glance at that and say is. Well, that's a linking verb, but it's not is by itself. It's is stealing, and that's clearly an action. And here's a test. If you know that is stealing is a verb phrase, try replacing the whole thing with just one of those 8. Like is. He is my car, again, doesn't make sense. Unless there's something really weird going on, like a transformer. But he is my car, again, doesn't make sense. He was my car, doesn't make sense. Okay. Let's take a look at the word tasted in the next examples. In one of those, it's an action verb, and in the other, it's a linking verb. And it's not that confusing to figure out which one is which. Is the subject doing an action? And if that's too tricky, then think about it this way. Can I plug in one of those 8? Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. He tasted the ice cream. He was the ice cream. Does that make sense? He was the ice cream. No, that doesn't make sense at all. So tasted cannot be replaced by something that's always a linking verb like was. So tasted in that sentence is not a linking verb. It must be an action verb. And he is doing something. He's tasting it. Now in the other sentence, the ice cream tasted bad. I don't think the ice cream is tasting itself. Like, hmm, I'm not quite right here. That's not what's going on. What we're talking about there is the ice cream is bad or the ice cream was bad. And notice we can plug in one of those linking verbs, am, is, are, was, were. And really those are the 5 that matter that we test out most often. Am, is, are, was, were. But yeah, the ice cream was bad. The ice cream is bad. So that must be a linking verb in that case. Okay. I'll come back to this in a little bit later. Let me pause here, and I'll jump to another slideshow. Okay, I'm skipping some background stuff that will typically be review for most people, and I'll when I have time, I'll make a recording of that for going back to it. But I want to skip ahead to the parts of a sentence, and we're specifically talking about complements. The part one is about subjects and verbs, and a simple subject is as few words as you can get it down to. Simple predicate is just the verb or the verb phrase, as few words as you can get it down to. Um, But assuming all that stuff makes sense, we'll talk about compliments here. And I like telling people that I like telling people compliments. I like giving them compliments. But that's not what we're talking about here. That's with an I right here. Compliment with an I is when you're saying something nice. Hey, Mr. B, I like your tie today. Thank you. I did too. Thank you. I like your tie too. But that's not what we're doing. What we're doing here is giving more complete information, and that's why it's complete with an E. We want to get more complete information. Now, we might have a group of words that does include a subject and a verb, but it might not give us a complete thought, and that's not a sentence then. I'll give you an example right here, like they sent. They sent by itself doesn't make sense. What did they send? Who did they send it to? Why did they send it? We don't know. They sent is a subject and a verb, but it's not a sentence. We need more information, such as us a fruitcake. Now we know who they sent something to and what it was sent. Maybe they sent a ransom note. They sent bribe money. Who knows? They sent a gift. Okay, but they sent is not enough. Same thing here. Oops. The students seem, that's just not enough information. It just doesn't make sense. The students seem, I don't know, bored. The students seem tired. The students seem sleepy. The students seem ready to go. The students seem ready. Maybe the students seem well educated. And I'm hoping that by the end of what we're talking about here, you'll be better educated about these things. Okay? Let's do one more slide for today. The first compliment worth talking about is the direct object. Let me get through a little bit of a definition for it, but don't be intimidated by this, because when you see these things in practice, I think it'll make perfect sense. At least it really should. I like to call these things the DO, just for short. It's like my nickname for them. We're like this. They do have to be nouns or pronouns, but that's obvious if it has to be a thing. It has to be an object, a person or a place or a thing. Okay. Noun or a pronoun in that case. And these receive the action of an action verb. Okay. Again, don't be intimidated by that. You'll see how it works here. If you think you have a direct object after an action verb, let me try to take some anxiety away here. Transitive verb might sound tricky. It's just an action verb that has a direct object. Okay, I'll give you some examples in a moment of action verbs that don't. Let's do that right now. Action verbs that don't have direct objects, like I shopped, I ate, I read. You might ask me, Mr. B, what'd you do this weekend? And I can tell you, I shopped. I was actually car shopping this weekend. But if I don't tell you that, if I don't say I shopped, if I don't give you any other compliments or prepositional phrases, for example, I shopped for a car. I ate pizza. I read 2 books. Okay? If I don't tell you those kinds of things, I still have a complete sentence here. In these cases, these are what we call intransitive verbs. They don't have direct objects. I ate. I read. Okay? If I wanted to, I can make them transitive verbs by giving them a direct object after them. I read a book. I ate pizza. Twice. Okay? So transitive verb just means that it has a direct object, and we'll see some of that in just a minute. Back to this bad boy. If you have an action verb, ask what after it. And I'll give you some other steps here too. But if something answers the question whom or what after an action verb, it has to be a direct object. Okay? And all that means is that the subject is doing the verb to the direct object. Here are a couple of examples. Now, I always tell students, if you're stuck on a sentence, or even if you're not, if you're just starting out examining a sentence, start with the verb. Find the verb first, and it'll unlock the rest of the sentence. So this I forgot my homework one, the action in there is forgot. And if you're not sure about this, you're like, is that a mental action? Is it actually an action if I'm not doing something because I'm not remembering? Test it out with one of those linking verbs. Am, for example, works with I. I am my homework. I was my homework. Those just don't make sense. If a linking verb does not make sense, it must be an action verb. So forgot is an action. Now here's what I tell people. I label the verb, and then you should use that to find the subject. If you know what the verb is, find the subject by asking who or what, and then saying the verb. And it might help to say some words after that too, like who forgot, or who forgot something, or who forgot homework. pretty clearly that I is the subject here. Well, let's talk about that for just a minute. I forgot my homework. I'm doing the action. I is the subject. It's the one doing the action. Now, back up here. Ask Homer what after to find if there's a direct object. I forgot what. I forgot what. It's not I forgot my. I didn't forget my. I forgot homework. Okay, my is just an adjective telling you which homework. But I forgot what? I forgot homework. That's a direct object. That's all direct objects do. The subject does the verb to a direct object. I forgot homework. Here's another example. Dog bit Joe and me, and we got rabies. Okay, so bit is a verb. Let's make sure that's an action verb. But first, let's find the subject. Who bit somebody? What bit somebody? The dog did. Okay, is that an action verb? The dog was Joe and me. Doesn't make sense. The dog is Joe and me. Doesn't make sense. So it's an action verb. So now that we have an action verb, let's see if we have a direct object. The dog bit whom? Or the dog bit what? Joe and me. Those are both direct objects. And let's talk about that for just a minute too here. All right, I changed my mind. We'll come back to that in a minute. But right here, Joe and me, those are both direct objects. There's another part of this sentence here, and we got rabies. There's a verb in there. Got is the verb. Okay, let's use it to find the subject. Who got something? What got something? We did. Is got an action verb or a linking verb? We were rabies. We are rabies. That doesn't make sense. If a linking verb doesn't work, it must not be a linking verb. So that's an action verb. Let's see if we have a direct object. We got what? We did the verb to the direct object. We got what? We got rabies. Okay? So in both of these cases, we have direct objects. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute though. In me, sometimes people say, and I have a lot of students who'll tell me, Mr. B, my teachers in the past have told me it's and I. It's always and I, not and me. I have a few things to say about that, but if that is the case, then your teachers lied to you. Okay, take this sentence, and I hear this kind of thing every day in the hallway, sometimes in my room even. Hey, can me and her go to the library? Or, yeah, me and him were at the movies the other day. Me and him went to go see that movie. I think we can handle one thing at a time, but a lot of us get careless if we have too many things to deal with. So let's simplify them and take them one at a time. Okay? This one right here. Can me and her go to the library? Actually, you might be able to figure this out some with what we were doing today. The verb in here is can go. Can go. Use those to help you find the subject. Who can go? Who can go? Okay. Me and her, those are the subjects. Now, me and her are actually object forms, so we can't use those as subjects. We'll talk more about that later. But notice if you take these one at a time, you would not say me and her. You'd say, can I go to the library? Can she go to the library? Okay. If it's me by itself, it's me with other words in there. But if it's I by itself, it's I with other words in there. Can I go? Can she go? So you should say, can she and I go to the library? Okay. Back to our other sentence right here. Dog bit Joe and me. Put that right up there. The dog bit Joe. That's right. The dog bit me. That's right. If it's me by itself, it's me with other words in it. Okay, so it's not always and I. It's only and I if it's I by itself. It's not always and me. It's and me if it would be me by itself. Okay. Let's do a little bit of practice with this. I'm gonna upload one of our worksheets for you here. Let's see if I can find it. Right there. All right, this is what it will look like for you. What I want you to be able to do is this exact same process with any sentence. And I want to stress something here. In my class, I typically ignore the directions. I don't like the directions. For one thing, sometimes they'll tell you to underline direct objects. Other times they'll tell you to underline verbs and circle direct objects. This is coming from a number of years ago. I had a couple students that were really confused by this kind of thing. and actually asked in these words, and I don't blame them. I'm glad they asked it this way. But hey, Mr. B, I forgot what direct objects are. Are those the things that we circle, or are those the things that we underline? And I thought, that you're going to confuse yourself if that's all you ever do. So what we started doing in class is just ignoring the directions and labeling each sentence as we go. Like this one, number 1. I want to do 1 through 5 with you here. The verb in there is invented. Okay. Again, a verb has to be either an action, something you can do, or something someone can do, or a linking verb. Okay. Invented. Someone invented something. Okay. Use that to find the subject. Who invented something? Eli Whitney did. All right, that's our subject. We have a subject and a verb. Now, let's make sure that is an action verb. If it is, then plugging in am, is, are, was, were will not make sense because those are always linking verbs. Okay? Eli Whitney was a machine. Doesn't make sense. Eli Whitney is a machine for cotton farms. Doesn't make sense. So since a linking verb doesn't work, invented must be an action verb. So we have subject, we have verb. Let's see if we have a direct object. Since it's an action verb, we'll ask what after it. Eli Whitney invented what? He invented a machine. That's a direct object. Notice he did not invent farmers. And actually, this deals with something else that we'll talk about later. This is what we call a prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrases always start with prepositions, which means they're relationship words. They tell you the relationship between something outside of the phrase and something inside it. And they have to end with an object. We call that an object of a preposition, OP. More about those later. But just for an example right here, notice I can ask the question what after saying for, and I'll get an answer. It's because there's an object for it. I don't want this to confuse you. We're doing the same thing with invented. Eli invented what? He invented a machine. But that's with the verb. And right here, for, that's a relationship. You can't for something. You can't from something. You can't of something. These are not verbs. Okay, these are prepositions, relationship words. But Eli Whitney invented a machine as a direct object. For cotton farmers, that's a prepositional phrase. Okay, starting with a preposition, ending with an object of the preposition. He invented the machine for what? For whom? For farmers. 2, verb in there is was, and that's not an action. You can't was something. Okay. What, use it to find the subject. What was the cotton gin? His machine. In as few words as possible, machine. Now, that's on our list of linking verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. So that's a linking verb. So we cannot have a direct object, no matter what. They only work with action verbs. And this is a linking verb. What we have here actually is what we call a predicate nominative. We'll talk more about this later, but a predicate nominative is just another name for the subject. It's the same thing as the subject. It's only it happens in the predicate, or it's after the verb. Okay, it's after the linking verb in normal sentence order. Let me illustrate something else here with predicate nominatives. You can revert. Well, I'm not sure how to word it. I don't want to confuse anybody, but I can trade places. The subject and the predicate nominative can trade places. If it really is a predicate nominative, I can say his machine was the cotton gin. The cotton gin was his machine. Okay. You can't do that with direct objects. I can't say Eli Whitney invented a machine invented Eli Whitney. It just doesn't work that way. With a linking verb and a predicate nominative, it does. Okay, let's do 3 more quick ones. The verb in 3 is separates. That's an action verb. Let's test it in a minute when we have the subject. But let's find the subject first. What separates things? I'm hoping you're seeing that the machine is the subject. And separates, what kind of verb is that? Does a linking verb work? Can I say the machine is seeds and small sticks? The machine was seeds and small sticks? That doesn't make sense. So that's an action verb. Let's see if we have a direct object by asking what after the action verb. The machine separates what? The machine separates what? Well, it separates seeds and sticks. Okay, not from, not from. This right here actually is a prepositional phrase. It separates, and this is the relationship word. It separates these things from what? These things. Okay, prepositional phrase starts with a relationship word, ends with an object. You can ask what or whom, and it'll answer that. Two more. The verb in 4. Always start with the verb. Hope you see that it's combs. What is it that's combing things? What combs fibers? It does that. And in this case, it is a pronoun, but it's referring to the machine. It combs. Is that a linking verb? It is the fibers with tiny fine tooth rakes? Doesn't make sense. So it's not a linking verb. It must be an action verb. So let's see if we have a direct object. It combs what? It combs the fibers. Okay? It's not combing rakes. It's combing the fibers with rakes. So this is a prepositional phrase, the relationship word, and it's combing the fibers with what? With rakes. Starts with a relationship word, ends with an object. Prepositional phrase. One more. I'm hoping you're glancing at number 5 and noticing that that is a linking verb. His invention was important. Okay, what was important? The invention was, but that's a linking verb if it was by itself. This is actually what we call a predicate adjective. Invention was important. I can't say the important was the invention, but notice that this describes the subject. It was an important invention. Important invention. It's just on the other side of a linking verb from the subject. Okay, that's all predicate adjectives do. Now we'll talk about those later in the days to come. Okay. What I'd like you to do is take a look at 6 through 15. If you want to use the handout that I'm going to attach with this video, then you can do that. If you want to just pause this here and try those, that's fine too. But I'll talk about the answers to these in a few minutes. I'll pause it right now, and I'll do that in a sec. Let me get to some place where I can pause it.